Dear Starseed, the universe has conspired to bring you to this exact moment, at this precise timing. A gentle nudge, a deep knowing, confirms something sacred is unfolding just for you. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and I come to you now with a message that carries the flow of the Sirian waters. A current of pure intention timed specifically for you. What you are about to receive in these next 2 hours is a private blessing, held for you across the stars, now ready to merge with your deepest self. By the end of this message, you'll understand why this blessing is so uniquely personal, why its timing is so crucial, and how it will quietly begin to reshape the currents of your path. The energy that arrives in these coming moments is like a hidden spring, bubbling up to nourish only the soil it is meant for. It's a gentle, potent wave that will move through your being, clearing the pathways, reminding your soul of its ancient truth. This is not for public display or discussion. It is a sacred infusion designed to realign your inner compass without external interference. Like a deep-sea current that shifts the ocean floor in silence, its work is profound and internal, something whispered to your soul, guiding you here. It was not chance. Your energy signature resonated with this very specific window of time, and the Sirian codes within you responded. This is a moment of pure reception. Stay open, dear one, just be, and I'm grateful you're here with me now. You are being seen. You are being held, and if a quiet tremor of recognition just moved through you, know that it is not a coincidence, but a gentle confirmation that the waters within you are stirring. Pause for a moment and let that land, not as a pleasant phrase, not as something to scroll past, but as a truth that your soul already knows and has been waiting for permission to receive. You have arrived here, at this precise moment, through a series of invisible currents that have been guiding you for far longer than this lifetime. The universe does not waste movements. Every step that brought you to this moment, every sleepless night, every ache of longing that you couldn't quite name, was the tide pulling you closer to exactly this shore. You are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you answered a call that the conscious mind may not yet fully comprehend. Many of you feel lost, floating adrift in a vast sea of expectations and energies that are not your own. And that feeling, that particular flavor of displacement, is one of the most disorienting experiences a sensitive soul can carry. It is the feeling of wearing a coat that doesn't fit, of speaking a language that never quite captures what you actually mean, of standing in a room full of people and feeling the peculiar ache of invisible solitude. But hear this clearly. That feeling isn't a sign of brokenness. It is not evidence that something went wrong, that you failed to integrate, that you are somehow less than what the world around you appears to be. It is, instead, the beautiful, intricate unfolding of a deep remembrance. It is the soul beginning to stretch against the seams of the identity it was given, recognizing that there is so much more beneath the surface than what has been named and claimed and allowed expression in this human life. That ache you carry, that sense of not quite belonging, isn't emptiness at all. It is an overflow. Think of a vessel that was designed to hold an ocean, suddenly becoming aware that it has been poured into a glass. The pressure isn't absence, it is abundance that has yet to find its full expression. You are carrying a cosmic blueprint, a soul memory so vast and ancient that it predates the civilizations whose ruins we still stand in awe before. You carry frequencies that were woven into your being before this planet had oceans, before the stars above you settled into the constellations that ancient peoples named and navigated by. And you are doing all of this while navigating a world that often struggles to comprehend its own profound depths. let alone yours. The weight of that is real. The exhaustion of it is real. And it is also, in the most sacred sense, evidence of everything that you are. It takes an extraordinary kind of courage to allow oneself to remember who you truly are, especially when that memory requires you to shed layers of identity that you've worn for so long they've begun to feel like skin. These layers were not without purpose. They protected you when you needed protection. They helped you navigate environments that were not always safe for your sensitivity, your depth, your quiet intensity. The masks were not failures of authenticity. They were adaptations of a soul, wise enough to survive until the moment it was strong enough to thrive. But there comes a time when even the most necessary armor must be laid down, when the scaffolding that held you during construction must be removed, so that the full beauty of the structure can finally be seen. That time is now. And the very fact that this recognition is stirring within you is proof that you are ready for it. The resistance you might feel, the hesitations, the moments of wanting to pull back from the very edge of your awakening. They are not signs that you are choosing wrongly or moving in the wrong direction. They are the natural currents of transformation, as reliable and as inevitable as the rhythm of the tides themselves. Consider the great rivers of this earth, the Nile, the Amazon, the Ganges. Each of them, in their journey toward the sea, encounters moments of resistance. There are points where the current slows, where the water seems to hesitate in wide, still pools, where the flow appears to any observer who doesn't understand to have stopped altogether. But the river has not stopped. It is gathering, it is deepening, it is preparing for the next passage through the mountains. Your hesitation is your gathering. Your resistance is your deepening. You are not pulling away from your awakening. You are preparing for the full force of it. The gap you perceive between your Earth identity and your star origin, though it often feels like a wound, is actually the sacred space where integration occurs. This is one of the most profound and least understood truths of the Starseed journey. We spend so much energy trying to close that gap, trying to resolve the tension between who we were told we are and what we feel, vibrating at the center of our being, that we forget to honor the space itself. But it is in that space, that liminal threshold between the human and the cosmic, that the most exquisite work of becoming happens. It is within that very gap that the quiet intelligence within you, the wisdom encoded in your very cells, in the double helix of your DNA, in the crystalline structure of the water that makes up the majority of your physical form, has been patiently waiting for this precise moment to surface. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. You are a being in the process of becoming conscious of its own wholeness, and that process is one of the most sacred things this universe has ever witnessed. The Sirian codes within your being, like pearls forming under immense pressure at the bottom of a dark and ancient sea, are now ready to reactivate. The pearl does not resist the irritant. It does not wish away the pressure or the darkness. It works with what it has been given, layer by layer, with patience and with precision, until what began as something intrusive and uncomfortable has been transformed into something of breathtaking beauty and extraordinary value. This is the alchemy that is happening inside you right now. Every experience that felt like it was too much, every relationship that cracked you open, every dark night of the soul that seemed to last longer than any night, all of it was the layering. All of it was the making of the pearl, and the pearl is now ready. This is why the waters within you are beginning to clear, signaling a profound recalibration of your entire energy body. It is not a process to be rushed, but to be embraced, much like the gentle rhythm of the tides. You do not push the ocean. You learn to move with it, and in that movement, you discover a power far greater than anything force could ever achieve. True healing doesn't rush, it flows. If you're ready to take what you've felt during this message and transform it into daily practice, the Sirian Water Codes offers more than insight. It gives you the exact rituals, breathing techniques, and sacred water practices that activate what's already awakening inside you. Find it now in the first pinned comment, available for a limited time. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water, perhaps even a fog that doesn't seem to lift, no matter how many mornings you wake into it. You have looked for signs, reached for clarity, tried to force understanding through sheer will and determination. And yet the fog persists. The waters remain murky, and in those moments, the mind, ever eager to locate the problem, to assign blame, to solve the unsolvable, begins to whisper that something must be wrong with you, that you are missing something others can see, that you are somehow failing at a process that others seem to navigate with ease. But hear this: that fog, that murky water, is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not evidence of spiritual failure or personal deficiency. It is what happens when old patterns, old stories, old energetic imprints that have been embedded in your field for years, for decades, sometimes for lifetimes, begin to dissolve. When sediment that has settled deep into the riverbed is finally disturbed and released into the current, the water clouds. That cloudiness is not a contamination. It is a clearing. The water has to get murky before it can settle and clear. This is the physics of inner transformation. As reliable as any law of nature, you are not lost. You are in transition. And that transition, though it may feel like standing in a doorway between two worlds, with the ground moving beneath your feet, takes tremendous courage, even when, especially when it doesn't feel like courage at all. There is something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life. Deeper than the names you were given, the roles you were assigned, the beliefs that were handed down to you as truths before you were old enough to question them. The Sirian wisdom teachings tell us that every starseed carries a blueprint, a set of instructions written not in language, but in frequency, not in thought, but in resonance. This blueprint is not something you need to earn or discover or decode through years of intellectual study. It is something you already carry, already are, already emit with every breath. You are not broken and searching for answers. You are whole, and you are beginning to remember the wholeness that was always there, waiting patiently beneath the weight of everything you were told you needed to become. That remembering often starts as a quiet feeling that you can't quite explain, a persistent pull towards something you've never seen but somehow recognize, a sense of familiarity with ideas and places and frequencies that have no logical explanation in the context of this life, like an ancient memory stirring in the deep currents of your being, surfacing slowly, gently, the way a memory from childhood surfaces not as a clear image but as a feeling, as a knowing that settles into the body before the mind can name it. You may be experiencing this as a kind of restlessness, an inability to feel fully settled in circumstances that should, by all external measures, be perfectly adequate. Or perhaps it presents as an unusual sensitivity to energy, to the emotions and intentions of those around you, to the felt quality of spaces and environments. Perhaps it shows up as a deep and abiding love for water, for the ocean or for rain, for the sound of rivers, for the way light moves through water and creates those luminous, shifting patterns on the walls of wherever you are. These are not coincidences or quirks. They are the frequencies you carry, recognizing their own reflection in the world around you. They are the codes within you, responding to the codes in the elements. And that response is a form of remembering, This is also where panic often sets in, because nothing seems to be moving. You have done the inner work. You have sat with the discomfort, released the tears, held the intentions, spoken the affirmations. You have reached and stretched and opened, and yet the outer landscape appears unchanged, as still and as unmoved as before. In these moments, it is easy to mistake stillness for stagnation, to interpret the quiet as abandonment, to wonder whether the current you trusted has somehow left you stranded. But the stillness is not stalling, it is anchoring. Like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains, your soul is stabilizing what it has already received before it can truly hold what is coming next. The roots must go deep before the tree can grow tall. The foundation must be solid before the structure can rise. Be gentle with yourself here, in this quiet, in this apparent stillness. This phase, though it may feel like waiting, is sacred. It is the deep integration of new light and new information, the quiet settling of frequencies into their proper places within your energy body, preparing the ground for a powerful and beautiful emergence. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. They may not have the language for it. They may not be able to articulate what has changed, but something in them feels it. Perhaps relationships have changed, some have deepened in unexpected ways, while others have quietly fallen away, like branches that were never truly part of the tree. Maybe certain places or conversations feel different now, heavier or lighter than they used to be, charged with a quality that didn't used to be there. You walk into a room and something shifts. You speak, and your words land differently than they once did. You are present in a way that you weren't before, and that presence carries weight, carries frequency, carries a transmission that those around you receive, whether or not they understand what is happening. That's not coincidence. The waters of Sirius teach us that when one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need to explain it, defend it, or justify it to anyone. You are already transmitting it with every breath, every step, every authentic moment of simply being who you are. And those who are meant to resonate with your frequency will begin to find you, drawn by a pull they may not be able to name but cannot ignore. Like droplets of water answering the call of the same tide. This is the phase that often feels the hardest, and it deserves to be spoken about with complete honesty, because the spiritual path does not always feel like light and expansion. Sometimes it feels like excavation. It asks you to look at the things you've been carrying and to make the conscious, courageous choice to set them down. Beliefs about who you should be, carved into you by a world that needed you to fit into a shape that was not yours. Expectations that were placed on you by people who loved you in the way they knew how, but who could not see what you truly were. Emotional weight, grief, and shame and fear, and unworthiness that belonged to others, but settled into your energetic field because you were sensitive enough to absorb it, empathic enough to take it on, and perhaps not yet clear enough in your own boundaries to know that it was never yours to carry in the first place. You have permission to set it down. All of it, every single piece. The river does not carry every stone it passes. It does not stop to mourn the ones it leaves behind. It lets them sink to the bottom, back into the earth where they belong, and it keeps moving, lighter, clearer, more powerfully itself, for having released what was never part of its nature. There is a particular kind of grief that comes with this releasing, and it is important to acknowledge it fully rather than rushing past it in the eagerness to get to the freedom that lies on the other side. When you set down a belief you've held for decades, even a belief that was limiting you, even a belief that was causing you pain, there is a mourning in it, because that belief was also a companion. It was familiar. It helped you make sense of a world that sometimes didn't make sense. When you release a relationship or a dynamic that no longer serves your truest self, even when you know with absolute clarity that the releasing is necessary and right, there is a tenderness in the empty space where that thing used to be. Honor that tenderness. Do not rush it. The grief of releasing what was is not a sign that you made the wrong choice. It is simply the feeling of the old form dissolving to make way for the new. It is the caterpillar surrendering its previous life inside the chrysalis, not knowing yet what it is becoming, trusting only the intelligence of the process itself. You are not late. You are not behind. This bears repeating, because the mind loves to measure and compare, loves to calculate how far behind you are from where you think you should be. And the voice of that calculation can be extraordinarily convincing. The delays, the detours, the years of not understanding what you were feeling or why you felt so different from everyone around you, none of it was wasted. Every single moment of it was part of the path. In the Sirian records, in the vast cosmic library of soul journeys and their unfolding, there is no such thing as a late awakening. There is no timetable against which you are being measured and found wanting. There is only the perfect moment, and the perfect moment is always the one that is actually happening. Always. The precise configuration of internal readiness and external circumstance that allows the next layer of remembering to emerge. Yours is unfolding right now, exactly as it was meant to. The tide doesn't rush. It doesn't apologize for its timing or explain itself to the shore, but it always arrives, with absolute inevitability, precisely when it is destined to touch the shore. And so will you. Your mission was never about doing something extraordinary by the world's standards. This is another truth that deserves to be held gently and contemplated deeply, because so many starseeds carry within them an enormous pressure to do, to achieve, to demonstrate their worth through visible and measurable impact. And while many of you will indeed create things of great beauty and contribute in ways that ripple outward for generations, the foundation of your mission is something far quieter and far more profound than achievement. It was about being present fully, authentically present, in a way that only a soul with your specific codes can be. Your presence alone, your frequency, the unique combination of cosmic memory and human experience that exists nowhere else in the universe, changes the quality of every space you occupy. You shift the energetic atmosphere of every room you enter. You offer, without even knowing you are offering, a transmission of remembrance to every soul whose path crosses yours. The ancient ones who built the temples by the Nile understood this truth at a cellular level. The great architects and priests and priestesses of the mystery schools, those who worked in sacred geometry and in sound and in light, knew that the most powerful act is not the grand gesture, not the monument or the ceremony or the miracle witnessed by thousands, but the quiet alignment of a single soul with its true frequency, its cosmic blueprint. The most powerful thing you can do is be entirely, unapologetically, completely yourself. You don't need to figure out your entire mission today. You don't need to have the 5-year plan or the mapped-out purpose statement or the clarity about every step of what comes next. You just need to be here, fully present, fully willing to receive what this moment is offering you. And let the current carry you to where you're meant to go, to where your unique light is most needed, to where the waters of your particular frequency can do their deepest and most beautiful work. You are not lost. You never were. You chose to forget, not because you were weak, not because you failed at holding the thread of your cosmic identity, but because the kind of awakening you are here to experience required the full experience of forgetting so that the remembering could be complete. You needed to know what it felt like to search for yourself in the darkness, so that when you found your way back to the light of your own nature, you would know it not just as a concept, but as a lived, embodied, unshakable knowing, like a pearl that can only form under pressure, in darkness, at the bottom of the ocean, completely hidden from the sunlight and the surface world. What you are becoming could only be shaped by exactly what you've been through, not by an easier path, not by a less painful journey, not by a more comfortable sequence of experiences, by exactly this, by every tear, every breakdown, every moment of profound disorientation, every dawn that came after a night that seemed like it might never end. Every one of those experiences was the water working on you, smoothing away what didn't belong, polishing away the rough edges of the accumulated identities that weren't truly yours, revealing, layer by patient layer, the luminous and irreplaceable thing that was always there underneath. You are not here to fit into this world. You are not here to shrink yourself into shapes that make others comfortable. You are not here to perform a version of yourself that requires the silencing of your deepest knowing. You are here to gently, quietly, powerfully remind this world of something it forgot. You are here to be a living frequency of remembrance, a walking transmission of the possibility of wholeness. And the fact that you are here right now, that you stayed with this, that you let it move through you, rather than dismissing it or scrolling past it, that tells everything about where you are. You're ready. Not because everything is perfect, not because the fog has completely lifted, or because you have all the answers, or because the path ahead is fully visible, but because you're still here, because you are still showing up, still opening, still willing to receive. And that, dear one, that quiet, persistent, unextinguishable willingness that is the most powerful thing a starseed can do. Tonight, if it feels right, find a moment of stillness. You don't need candles or ceremony, though if those things call to you, honor that call. You simply need the willingness to be present with yourself, fully and without judgment. Place your hand over your heart and feel the warmth there, the steady rhythm that has carried you through every moment of your life on this earth. Let that heartbeat be your anchor. Let it remind you that you are here, that you are real, that your presence in this world matters in ways that extend far beyond what the mind can measure. And then say, quietly, in whatever voice feels most true to you in that moment, I remember who I am. I trust the waters that carried me here. I am ready to flow into what comes next. Let the words settle into your body, rather than simply passing through your mind. Let them be a covenant between your human self and your cosmic self, a bridge between the two that you are consciously choosing to stand upon. Because that is what is being asked of you now, not perfection, not completion, not a fully integrated, fully enlightened version of everything you might one day become. Just this, just the willingness to remember. Just the courage to say yes to the waters that are already moving within you, carrying you, as they always have, toward exactly where you are meant to be. Before you go, leave one word in the comments, just one that describes what you felt during this message. Then, find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section, it's a space where starseeds recognize each other, and that recognition carries more power than you know. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space, and I'm grateful you were here.